Hello and welcome to Matchday Live. I'm on the ground in Tokyo for our second game here at the National Stadium against Bayern Munich. In today's show, I will be joined pitchside by Joleon Lescott and Shaun Wright-Phillips. But for now, let's head to the studio where Natalie is with some familiar faces.
Thank you so much, FG, and thank you all for joining us on today's Matchday Live. You can see the players are arriving at the National Stadium ahead of today's friendly against German champions Bayern Munich. There is new boy Mateo Kovacic arriving. He had a great first 45 minutes in the friendly against Yokohama, so I guess he'll be hoping today to add more minutes. You can see the rest of the team arriving now. Thank you so much for joining us on today's Match Day Live. We take on Bayern Munich, and this is the 5th time that we have met Bayern Munich in summer friendlies in recent years. They won the first 2. We won the second 2, so today is sure to be an exciting game. I'm joined in the studio, as always, by some of our wonderful Manchester City legends. We have Steve Howey, Sean Goater, and Mr. Paul Dickov. Hello, good morning, and we're repping on this side of the sofa the lovely new third kit.
Very nice. It's only I've only got it because they only had it in extra small. Otherwise, they wouldn't have fit these two. So, and it's still a little bit big for me actually. So
looks wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
Very nice indeed. And the good news for everybody is that Sean Goater is here today. I say that as in today because would you like to tell us what happened, Sean?
Not really. Yeah, long story short, I actually showed up yesterday. So excited for the season. So I am here and I'm on time.
We have a group chat.
You turned up 24 hours early, you went home, and then you turned up late today. How does that work?
Yes. Not a lot of sleep, but I can tell you.
We have a group chat for the show, and Sean sent a message yesterday morning at 9 o'clock UK time saying, guys, I'm here, I'm just coming in now. And everyone was like, the game is tomorrow. But my favourite thing about it was that you panicked at home, didn't you?
Yeah, well, of course, I'm never getting here in time because obviously I'm a couple of hours away. But for that split second, even though I knew the game was today, that just panic just washes over you. And I think actually there was a few of us in the group actually thought that for that split second.
It made my day, honestly. I just kept chuckling every time I was talking about it.
So all I needed to do was say, I got you all, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yes, you'll get commentary today from the wonderful Alistair Mann and from Andy Morrison. And Andy Morrison also followed Sean's lead and started panicking that he was going to miss the game. Nobody's missed the game. 11:30 a.m. UK kickoff for our friendly. You're going to get this game on City Plus and on Recast, taking on German champions Bayern Munich. They had their first friendly last week and they beat a local German team 27-0. I did look into it, and just so you're aware, this team are in the 9th level of German football. So, to be honest with you, I don't even know what the 9th tier of. My dad will be shouting at me right now, Paul, but it's fairly far down the football pyramid.
It is. Look, I think we said the other day there it looks like it was maybe a community game or giving something back to local community fans, but 27-0 doesn't do any favours, does it? It's like an under-7 game.
It doesn't, no. I think even for the players, normally them kind of games, you want a little bit of sharpness, a little bit of match fitness, but not going to gain anything out of it. If anything, they've got a chance to pick up a couple of injuries, but yeah, as I said, I think we've identified it was possibly like giving something back to the community, which is fair play to them.
Absolutely. Right, FG is out in Tokyo having the time of his life, I am sure, and he's about to bring us the Manchester City team news for today.
I absolutely am having the time of my life, and I'm even more happy that I'm joined by Joleon Lescott and Shaun Wright-Phillips pitchside. Before getting on, let's go straight away with the Manchester City lineup, which you guys at home will be able to see on screen. In goal is Ederson. Kyle Walker is our captain, Ruben Diaz, and then we have John Stones, Nathan Ake. We have a start for Rico Lewis, Mateo Kovacic, Bernardo Silva, James McAtee, Julian Alvarez and Jack Grealish. Now then, gents, we've seen the starting 11. Let's show some love to our back four, in particular our two centre-halves, Joleon. I know you were keen to do so. Ruben Diaz and John Stones. Many City fans really love the partnership, and we saw really good things from them, but they never really let us down, do they?
Yeah, no. I think since Diaz has came, and I think that was probably a little bit turbulent time for John Stones, to be honest, but if you look back at that period, as soon as they went in together, I think Ruben was in the team, and then he played alongside John Stones, and John Stones' level then went from strength to strength, and now we're seeing the best of them both, to be honest.
They haven't looked back. Let's talk about that John Stones finish again in the first game against Yokohama. An attacker's finish, Sean.
Yeah, it was a great finish. I think we all loved the way he took it, but his approach up to the ball and the play before it was something we see from City a lot, but it's never normally John Stones on the end of it. But in the new role he plays, he seems to keep finding himself in that 18-yard box and positions to do just that. But like you said, the finish was unbelievable finish.
It's very much players just improving drastically in the back four. And let's talk about Nathan Ake as well, a man whose game has just gone from strength to strength to strength, Joleon.
Yeah, but not recognisable strength. It was just consistently being immaculate, even in some of the negative results. I go back to the Spurs game, and he was outstanding. I know we lost the game, but he was outstanding. And speaking to Jack Grealish, I think he's a massive part of what he's about now, how he's performed, because he doesn't necessarily crowd his space as much as Cancelo was when he was playing left back. I think he recognises that I'll defend, get the ball to Jack Grealish and let him do his thing, and the partnership has been working immaculately.
When you're playing out wide, Sean, and you've got a full-back behind you who you know isn't going to let you down, he's always solid defensively, does that give you a bit more freedom to go and attack?
Yeah, it does, but it also, as an attacker, gives you that thought that you can play cat and mouse with the defender because you know he's capable to deal with the situation that you've left him in. And sometimes as a winger, you need to be able to cheat that once just so the fullback you're playing against doesn't take those big chances or doesn't push too high up the pitch early. So to have that defender behind you is massively important.
Massively important. We're big Nathan Ake fans. We're also fans of our goalkeeper, Edison, who's back in today. A man who never lets us down, and it was nice to see him getting serious praise during the Champions League this year. He was fantastic, and he's been brilliant, hasn't he?
Yeah, I don't think he's ever not been fantastic, to be honest. He's set a new standard in terms of composure, ball at his feet. I think for the first couple of seasons, teams wanted to close him down, try and rush him, but that wasn't the case. So all of a sudden now they let him kind of have the ball and dictate play. And I can't remember there's many goalkeepers as many as assists as him over the period, but it's important that he plays tonight, because I think you will see from other positions they tend to play 90 minutes to keepers. They want a lot more. It takes a bit longer to get them into their rhythm.
And let's also move on to the midfield then. Let's talk about Kovacic and Bernardo, players that potentially could be a possession dream for our team and for Pep. Pep will absolutely love having them, won't he?
Yeah, it could. I think, like I said in the previous show, that he's got a lot of similarities to Gundo. But I think he does it his own way, and I think he settled in really, really quickly. And I think these games, him starting off in the team regularly, is only helping that. And hopefully he'll get up to speed quickly. But because he plays so similar to Gundo, he seems like he can take in the information that Pep gives him. So hopefully he hits the scene and just blows up, because that's what I'm hoping for.
Right, I can see in the background there, we are joined on Matchday Live by an absolute Bundesliga legend, Claudio Pizarro, joining us here on Matchday Live. Thank you for joining us. An absolute pleasure. You're in case you didn't know, Claudio is, of course, an absolute Bundesliga legend, but also a Bayern Munich ambassador. Let's talk real quick about Bayern Munich. Let's talk about your expectations of Bayern in the season ahead.
Well, they're big. They're big. I think we have a great coach. Last year it was not that easy. We're there just for 6 months, and at the end we didn't get what we expected. But I think this year is going to be better. We're getting some good players. We expect to get some more.
All right, leave our players alone.
We will see what is coming, but I think something good is coming, and then we're going to do a good season this year.
Now, you're an absolute goal machine. We're looking at the Bayern Munich attack. No Muller on tour because of a hip injury. Who do you expect to shine in the game for you today in an attacking sense?
Well, I don't know exactly, really. It's not going to be easy. But I think this young guy, Tell, is a good player. He did well last year, and I think he could do something tonight. And
are you excited to play the game today? Do you think Bayern Munich can beat Manchester City? Unlike last year?
Of course, always. I'm really glad you won the Champions League last year. I have to say that, really. It was good for me, for Pep. I played with him, and I knew how important it was for you, and I'm really happy for you that you won it, really.
Now let's talk about your ex-teammate and your relationship with Shaun. Shaun's been so excited to see you all day. Tell us absolutely everything about Shaun Wright-Phillips. Uncover everything to the Matchday Live audience.
That's not easy. We always keep the things in the dressing room.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, some secrets
not that
there.
easy to tell to everyone what happened. But we had a good time. I can say that we had a good time on the beach and outside the beach as well. Yeah.
And what was it like on the pitch playing with him, Shaun?
He made it easy, I think, for a winger, especially when you have that person that will die to get on the end of a cross. Sometimes my crosses weren't always good, but he would make them look better than they actually was. You need a striker like that.
Thank you.
Absolute goal machine. Of course, we have to bring Joleon in on this one. We want to know, especially as Manchester City fans, we were so lucky to watch Joleon playing a Sky Blues shirt. Would a prime Joleon Lescott get into the Bayern Munich side?
Oh wow!
There's only one answer.
To tell the truth.
I would love to have you on my side. It's not easy to play against him. It was not easy to play against him. Oh, he was a great player.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And also, you were lucky enough to play, obviously, the majority of your career in Germany, but you also did play in England. How much did the English game differ from Germany?
I think it's more quickly, more straight, goes more straight to the front, to the back. You have to run a lot, really. I think sometimes you just want to go directly to the goal. You don't want to pass the ball so much, and I think that's the difference between those footballs. Just that. Germany, sometimes you play a little bit more football or try to play the ball on the ground. In England, you play more long ball.
Not now. Pepsi here now.
That was ages. That was
You have
ages
some other
ago.
teams that want to play the ball.
Yeah. And finally, you spoke about Pep Guardiola just a minute ago, and the influence he's had on the game is clear for everyone to see. But what are your observations of him as a coach?
Well, I said always that Pep for me was my best coach. Talking about tactics is the best. He's 5 years in front of everyone. It's incredible the things that he does, and you can see last year how they play, how they won. It is incredible how he can achieve.
And what about Thomas Tuchel, the Bayern coach, obviously winning the Bundesliga last
Well, I didn't have the chance to play under him, but I think he's a great coach. He has a lot of experience now. He was in very good teams with good players. He knows how to handle the situations now, and I think it's going to be very important to have him this year at Bayern.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining us on Matchday
pleasure.
Live. All the best with everything you're doing with Bayern. It's great to see. Let's head back to the studio where Natalie's waiting.
Thanks so much to FG there, and also big shout out to Shaun Wright-Phillips for defending our players while Claudio Pizarro's blatantly trying to poach there. Although I'm hoping he was definitely meaning Harry Kane. You can see the Bayern Munich team, they are arriving now. We will give you the full team news for Bayern Munich very, very shortly. It's an 11:30 kickoff, so you've got about 50 minutes until kickoff, so plenty of time to make sure you've got yourself sorted on City Plus or Recast. That is where you're going to get today's game. 11:30 kickoff on City Plus and on Recast. So we've had the City team news there, Paul. It's a new season. Some things never change, Paul. I'm going to guess you know what I'm about to ask you.
Yeah, and I still don't know what the formation is going to be or who's going to play where. I think the back four picks itself, and then looks as if Kovacic, Bernardo Silva, Rico Lewis in midfield, maybe. It's whether Kovacic sits or Rico sits, the other two forward, and then I would imagine Jack Grealish, McAtee and Julian Alvarez up top, but who knows.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement that Rico Lewis is going to be in midfield somewhere, and I think Kovacic is the interesting one. In the game against Yokohama, Shaun, he played quite an attacking role. In fact, more attacking than I think I'd expected. I think I'd kind of got lulled into a sense of some of his time at Chelsea, but he played much more in an attacking role. Do you think we might see that again today?
Well, it's interesting. Pep sees things that none of us see, in terms of him playing a little bit further forward. I'm intrigued because if he plays him further forward, when I look back in terms of what he did for Chelsea, he's a total City player in terms of his technical ability, but he didn't produce a lot of goals, and that's because he was a holding midfielder. So to move him slightly further forward, as we know with Gundo or any of our midfielders, they're chipping in with the goals. So it'll be interesting to see if he plays further forward, does he get his number of goals? But he is a total Man City player. Technically, his intelligence, he's a top player. So I'm intrigued to see how if he does play further forward throughout the season, how he adjusts to that in terms of adding goals and assists to the other qualities that he has.
In the Yokohama game, Steve, he was, and again, I don't know why I was so unexpected. I had this picture of him as this sort of defensive midfielder, but of course he has got this incredible attacking flair. There was at points in that Yokohama game where he was making runs that were beyond Julian Alvarez, and he was making balls, linking up with Alvarez as well. Are you excited to see kind of what he can do throughout the whole of that midfield?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously the manager knows the players that he's going to be getting on board, and obviously he's looked at Kovacic and knows what he's capable of, and everybody knows he is kind of very, very good at that sitting, holding in front of the back four. But he also knows the fact that he can offer so much more by going forward, and that's when he's basically sort of turning around to him and saying, listen, I want you to go more forward. You know, don't worry about what's behind you. We've got a very good, solid defence, fantastic goalkeeper. Been not disrespectful to Chelsea, but he's just sort of saying, go on, you know, enjoy yourself, get involved. Can you be more creative rather than that kind of destructive sort of defender midfield player that he was for Chelsea? He's obviously got fantastic ability, and he's asking him to be more creative. And I think for a player, there's nothing better for a player when you've been given a kind of permission off the manager. Just go and enjoy it, express yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. We touched on it slightly in the Yokohama game, but again, after seeing him in that first 45 minutes, Paul, that's so interesting because at the end of last season, I remember Pep was talking, despite the fact that we won the treble, Pep was talking about the fact that he felt the team had maybe missed 10 to 25 chances of putting balls through in games for Erling Haaland. Do you think that's something that he had his eye on with Kovacic?
Definitely, and you know, I know people here will look at him at Chelsea, but you know he's been at Real Madrid, he's been at Inter Milan, and he has played in a more forward role. Croatia, he plays more as an 8 or as a 10 in their midfield 3. So his passing range is sensational. It is, and you know when you need people to break the lines, he's got that quality to do it. You know, I think I said at the show at the weekend, Luka Modric just came out and said when he retires, there's only one player in the Croatia team that can take his mantle, and that's Kovacic, and that's huge praise from one of the best midfielders we've seen over the last 10 years.
And another highly intelligent player. I mean, we have a real habit, or I imagine it's a plan, Shaun, of attracting and signing intelligent players. I mean, I read that he speaks 4 different languages, which always blows my mind. You know, the fact that I just barely speak English, and he speaks, you know, German, Italian and Spanish. We really do look
we would have been knackered, wouldn't we?
Yeah, don't know if we got a chance. We wouldn't have a chance of being signed. But this is the modern day player. They are intellectual in terms of not only on the field but off the field. They're rounded in terms of who they are as people. So, you know, Pep loves and he looks for the intelligent player, the players that make great decisions. And, you know, as Paul just said, you know, you look at his CV as where he's played and all of that. He is an exceptional player, and I think he's just going to fit right in seamlessly in City's team.
Right, let's talk about a stickier subject, shall we all? But it's fine because Pep talked about it in his press conference, and that, of course, is Kyle Walker. Pep described him yesterday in his press conference as an irreplaceable player and that he is going to fight for him to stay at the club. Of course, he's being heavily linked with Bayern Munich. Steve, he's playing today, he starts. There was lots of rumours about that as well. He starts today, he's captain today. Is he an irreplaceable player for you?
I think so. I just think, even off the field, his character in the dressing room is irreplaceable. I think what he'd done last season was absolutely fantastic. I've got no doubt about it. He'd have been very, very disappointed that he didn't start in the Champions League. That will have hurt him. And of course, because they had the treble, there will be teams like Bayern Munich, top teams that will be looking at players like him. But obviously, he played in the first game, the first half. He was captain then. He lifted the trophy at the end. And then, of course, he's captain today. Whether that's something the manager's maybe sort of saying, listen, I want you on board and you will be kind of, I wouldn't say involved more, but certainly if you're on the pitch, there's a good chance you could be captain because this is how much I rate you. But I definitely feel from his point of view, Kyle Walker's point of view, it really hurt him, the fact that he didn't play in the Champions League. But it'll be interesting to see what the manager does and how he reacts because the transfer window is open until, I think, is it September? 1st of September? So there's a long way to go.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's a long way to go and a lot of things can change. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
He really is a man of incredible character. You were there as well, Paul. After the Champions League final in Istanbul, there was a private party straight after that the players and the staff, and we were lucky enough to attend. He got up and made a speech on stage on behalf of all the players. Considering he hadn't started that game, I just thought it showed incredible character from the man. Paul, what's it like when, you know, there's rumours of your teammates moving, especially teammates perhaps that you're friendly with or that you enjoy playing with? How do you think it disrupts, or does it disrupt a team?
Not really. There'll be a bit of banter going on. I know that for sure. But also, I think Ruben Diaz came out in the press conference yesterday and said they want someone to stay. So there'll be a little bit of banter going on about are you leaving, where are you going, especially with playing Bayern Munich today and all the rumours surrounding it. But more often than not, his teammates know how important he is. as Steve said, just off the pitch as well as on the pitch. And considering he had the disappointment of not starting the Champions League, I thought his attitude was impeccable. You know, and we were there, sitting right behind the dugout. He was up, he was encouraging. He made a speech before the game, seemingly to all the players, and it would have been very easy for him to sulk away. You know, thinking we've just won the treble, Champions League's the one that he wanted to have. But his attitude was unbelievable. And looking at him being captain today, you know, he's captain, but with Ruben Diaz and John Stones, who have all captained the team before, and they're possibly Ruben Diaz before Kyle last season. And I think Pep's sending out a statement to everybody else. And the rumours that he wasn't going to be playing, and now he is playing, now he's captain. I might be completely wrong, I can't imagine for 1 minute that if Pep knows he's leaving, that he's going to play him and make him captain.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope so. You mentioned what Ruben Diaz said yesterday, Paul. It's like you absolutely read my mind. You're a magician, because we can hear now from what Ruben Diaz said yesterday.
Earlier, Jack and Erling, they made a joke about you being a fraud for the time you used in the gym. Could you tell me how much do they contribute to the banter in the dressing room?
Well, I think obviously them, you can see it clearly, but not just them. I think overall we've got this very good environment between all of us. And even Matteo, he just came in, and on one of my first conversations with him, he just told me, well, this is amazing. How well you get along with each other, all of you. Obviously, there's still a lot to know for him. He just arrived, but just the first impression that he got, I think it tells a lot about what happens inside. And I guess that mostly, and when it comes to those kind of jokes, it's about having the people that can obviously make the joke, but also the same people accepting to be made of a joke. And I guess that friendly environment between us, it definitely helps us. Well, when the time comes to be together.
It's Ruben Diaz speaking in the press conference yesterday. There is our wonderful goalkeeping unit there. Scott Carson, Stefan Ortega, and of course Edison, just knocking a ball casually around inside the stadium. If you're talking about companionship and fun, I mean, you've only got to look in this squad at these three and the incredible connection that they have. And of course, Scott Carson rewarded again with another contract extension this summer. I imagine the three of you had some hilarious times in the dressing room. I'm not going to look straight at you, Mr. Dickov. I'm going to go over here. Who was the
You shouldn't be looking at me, to be quite honest.
Who was the joker? Who was the one that kind of bonded everybody?
For me, I thought Kevin Horlock was. I thought he was a really good character in terms of you got a game, he could take your mind totally off the game. We would typically go into the physio room, and Kevin would be sort of just hurling court there. With loads of jokes, and you'd be like, oh, bloody hell, we've got to get out and warm up. We've forgotten it's a game. And these two will be heavily involved in a bit of that stuff. So, but Kevin, I thought he was one of those that was absolutely brilliant.
He was, but it has to be noted there is something slightly wrong with him in the fact of some of the stuff that he came out with. But even then, I think we had. As Ruben Diaz has just sort of said there, we had a group as well that everybody got involved, everybody was friendly, everybody liked to joke, everybody you could take the mick out of any one of us, and vice versa. We did have that sort of really good bond, and I think that showed in the way that you play. Because I think when you've got a great sort of communication between your teammates off the pitch, it definitely shows on the pitch.
Did you notice that in teams that you'd played in, were successful teams that you were in bonded, and perhaps some of the less successful teams a bit more apart? Yeah,
I think it's nowhere near the level of these guys, but any team that was remotely successful that I was involved in, they had a fantastic changing room. And Steve was our captain at the time, Nicky Weaver, say Big Weaves as well, big daft goalkeeper. But there was a team of proper characters, wasn't there? Jeff Whitley, Mark Kennedy, Bish. Yeah, I was going to come on to Bish. Well, you spent a bit of time with him in Istanbul. You know exactly what he's like. But yeah, that was just a team full of characters. And it's all right saying laughing and joking and bantering, but when it came down to work hard, we made sure we were at it, and you make sure your teammates are at it as well. So it is always good to have a bit of banter, and there's a few stories that we probably can't tell on Matchday Live.
I wonder if there's a few stories that they can't tell that are happening right now in Tokyo, by the way. It looks like they're having a wonderful, wonderful time, team bonding, enjoying themselves. Of course, 11:30 a.m. UK time, Bayern Munich friendly today. Should we have a little look? We of course, don't have the pleasure of being out there, but let's have a little look what they've been up to in Japan. Paul, you've, of course, travelled the world many, many times. So I imagine, from your experience, they will be thoroughly enjoying this trip.
Definitely. Look, I was 2019. I was out on the pre-season tour in Japan, and the one thing I know, Pep and his staff especially, were amazed by the facilities and how they get looked after. Super respectful, unbelievable city. Loads and loads to do, and you can tell the players. Look, they'll be working hard in training, but they'll also be enjoying themselves because the people out in Asia in general, but in
Why is Jack Grealish always there, by the way? When there's a moment, you can always rely on him to be smiling in the middle of it.
To talk about characters in the changing room, Jack's definitely one of them. But you hear the players talking, and they're absolutely loving being in Tokyo because it's a fantastic city.
I always thoroughly enjoy seeing the community work that we do on these sort of tours as well, Shaun, and seeing so many of the players getting out into the local communities is really important as well. Yes,
and I'm not sure if that's community work there singing there, but this is what's so beautiful about the club. Whenever the club is travelling, is always thinking about the actual communities that they're in, and giving back, and there we saw João Cancelo doing a bit within the community. And again, the players are often asked to go out and give an hour of time in the community. And I just think it's really exceptional with the club, and it just does this, and it understands this is, who we are and part of what we do.
Yeah, and of course the training out there, this is the point of it, the meeting the fans is great, the bonding is great, but they're out there to train as well and get ready for the season. Yeah,
I mean, they'll be working super hard. The manager will make sure they'll be doing the drills and getting themselves ready, and the season's not that far away, and you've got to be prepared. But I mean, when you see stuff like this, I think, as players, you go across there, you're working very, very hard. But it's a perfect opportunity to get out of your hotel and get out of your hotel room, meet the people, see what the culture's like. And I think what the lads will realise as well, and the fans will realise, is the people that they meet, these young kids, now all of a sudden they're going to be Man City fans for life. It has such an effect on them. And if you can give, these children or whoever you meet, like 5 minutes of your time and be nice to them and leave an impression on them, that's absolutely fantastic for that individual, but also for Manchester City as a football club.
Absolutely. We've seen so much of that out in Tokyo so far this pre-season. Today's game, 11:30 UK time against Bayern Munich. Get that on City Plus and on Recast. You've got just over half an hour to get yourself sorted. You'll get commentary there from Alistair Mann and from Andy Morrison. So we've got FG working super hard out in Tokyo. We sent him out around the stadium to chat to some of our wonderful fans.
Hello, welcome back to Outside the National Stadium. Now, I have found Ian, who is actually from London and has had a season ticket at Manchester City for 40 years. Living in London, Ian, the first question is, you must travel absolutely everywhere for every single game.
Well, it's 235 miles each way, between 3.5 and 4 hours. It's not too bad when you've done it for a few years.
You've done it for a few years indeed. Let's talk about the Manchester City journey that you've had. It started off so different to what it is now. As a City fan, we're very much in dreamland now, aren't we?
It is a dream, entirely a dream. I mean, we are living the life. Living the life looking at this. Remember, we used to go on a pre-season tour to Scotland, Stirling, Livingston. We did those places. Now look what we're looking at.
We also used to have the Thomas Cook Trophy, which I imagine you were at as well. But how is it out here in Japan? Have you enjoyed your stay so far?
Loving it. It's a bit warm. It's a bit toasty. But yeah, it's been great fun. Good food, good people, and respect.
Let's touch back on them people, because the people have been so welcoming to Manchester City, and there's so many blue shirts absolutely everywhere. How amazing is that to see?
Well, I know the guys here from the supporters club in Tokyo. I was here back in 2019 and they are crazy, and now there's even more. I mean, we've taken over Japan. I don't see any Bayern fans, do you? It's blue.
Japan is blue, says Ian. Let's talk about the first time you were here for the Yokohama game. The first game was 3-1. The other game was a lot more goals. What was the atmosphere like? The difference in the atmosphere?
Well, the atmosphere was buzzing this time, as there was an awful lot. Last time it was kind of 50-50. Today it was like 80%, 20, on Sunday. And it was amazing. What I would say is, going back to 2019, you can see how it's changed. I mean, that was a crazy trip. I came for the weekend.
Wow, you came for the weekend to
the Friday, went home on the Monday.
Well, that is dedication. Let's talk about the season ahead. It's been an incredible season, an incredible 12 months for Man City winning the treble. How do you see us doing in the next season?
How do you top it? How do you go further? I mean, what I've got to look forward to now is the World Club Championship. That's what we need next. Got to sort that one out.
We also have the Super Cup as well to look forward to. Let's talk about that Champions League that night in Istanbul. I imagine you were there, Ian, and the overall atmosphere. You weren't in Istanbul, but you were watching the game
In San Diego with Noel, and we had a ball. I may not have been there, but I had the second best place.
You guys would have seen the clips of Noel across City socials, and Ian was there living it up with him. Ian, on behalf of everyone at Manchester City, first of all, thank you for coming out here. You are literally what it is all about and living the dream, and thank you so much for supporting us. Top man.
Pleasure to meet you. Thank you,
mate. Legend. Thank you so much.
Look, Ian, you're a dedicated hardcore fan, clearly, that's travelled to Japan, but Paul and I are particularly offended about the idea that you wouldn't want to go on a Scotland pre-season tour.
To Stirling and Livingston as well. That was one of the best pre-season tours, the most luxurious place I've ever been.
You mentioned that was the tour that you three were all on. How was that Scotland tour? The silence speaks volumes. Right, you can see the Bayern Munich team. They have arrived in the National Stadium. If you'd like to get in touch with us, by the way, ask any questions to our wonderful guests. The number is on your screen now. Get those WhatsApp questions in, and I will get through as many as I can, as always. Go on, give me a nice original. You know, the sort of crazy ones that I like for the start of the season. Right, we're going to give you the Bayern Munich team news in just a second. 11:30 a.m. kickoff for you today. And there's Amrit Laporte. Hello, Amrit Laporte. Heading out to warm up as well. You've got just over 30 minutes now to get yourself. Make sure you're set up on City Plus and Recast so you can watch the game. Right, here's the Bayern Munich team for today. In goal, it's Sommer, Upamecano, Pavard, Kimmich, Gnabry, Sane, Kingsley Coman, Davies, Lema, Mazraoui and Musiala. That is the Bayern Munich team for today's friendly. I've got a quick little quiz for you all. You know that I love to throw a question in now and again. I told you earlier that we'd played 5 summer friendlies against Bayern Munich in recent years. How many times have we played them in the Champions League? Oh, I love to stump yous.
I'll throw a 5 out there.
Okay, Steve?
3.
3, okay.
6.
8 times. 8 times we've met Bayern Munich in the Champions League. Do you want any? How many of those do you think we won? Of the 8?
5.
Okay, Sean.
So not going on there. You're giving away some clues there. I'm going to say 6 just to be different.
Okay, Paul.
4.
4, Paul, is correct. Bayern have won 3, City have won 4, and there's been 1 draw. And of course, 5 summer friendlies between us in the recent years. So we've had the Bayern Munich team news. Before we go on to look at some of the individual Bayern players, it's been an interesting time for Bayern Munich. Of course, Thomas Tuchel is the manager. He took over in March. Nagelsmann was sacked despite only losing 3 games. They retained their title in the Bundesliga, but Dortmund really took them close. A lot of people have been saying that this is a real sort of summer of a rebuild for them, Paul.
Yeah, I think it is. And, under Nagelsmann, I think it was quite public that all wasn't good in the changing room. Players coming out speaking against them, speaking against the system they were playing. I think Müller came out and wanted to pick the team at one point, telling the manager who to pick. So that doesn't make a good changing room. But obviously Thomas Tuchel's went in there now, experienced manager, won a lot of things. And it looks as if straight away he's got the respect of the players. And, you look through their team there, it's not bad, is it? So it's some of the players that they've got, and you're thinking they're looking to add still. Obviously Harry Kane's the obvious one that everybody's talking about. You get Gnabry, Leroy Sané, Kimmich, Musiala, who's an unbelievably young talent. And, they're a strong team. And one of the best teams in Europe for God knows how long now. And I'm sure they'll be back again this year.
Yeah, because 11th time they've won the Bundesliga, but almost it isn't enough for them, Sean, anymore. They've got to progress. They've got to go further in the Champions League to almost satisfy them. Of course, we knocked them out in the quarterfinals this year. How do you think given what the upheaval that's kind of happened in the last sort of 6 months of their season, how do you expect them to be this year?
Well, when I look at these players and I think, why is it that for me, I think they'll look to win the league again in Germany. But for me, I look at their team and I think their team definitely should be reaching semi-finals. But I think it's all to do with the culture of the club and within. And if you've got, underlying issues, then it comes out and shows up on the pitch. But new manager Thomas Tuchel, I think is a very good manager. Some really quality players in their attack and also in their defence. So I would imagine they'll be one of our biggest threats in terms of the Champions League. So be intriguing to see even how this game pans out today.
We'll have a little look at some of their players in just a second, Steve. But one of the things obviously wanted to mention is Mane is pretty much an outcast at Bayern Munich now following the incident after we beat them in the Champions League where he's allegedly punched Leroy Sané. A bit of upheaval, few players leaving, few players staying. Do you think they can right themselves this summer? Can they get themselves back into a position this summer?
Well, again, I think both the lads have mentioned the manager. He's a very, very good manager. And as you said, under Nagelsmann, losing 3 games for Bayern Munich to lose in the Bundesliga is a catastrophe because the fans demand victories every single week, no matter who they're playing against. As it was mentioned, the dressing room didn't seem it was all together. We all know what's happened with Mane and Sané. I seen Mane getting. One of the reporters was trying to interview him the other day and he wouldn't have it, and he basically sort of said, hold on a second, you're criticising me every day, yet you want me to sit down and talk to you. So there's still that kind of unhappiness, I think, in the dressing room, just a small bit. You need your stronger players now in Bayern Munich's team to sort of bring everybody together, because that can definitely make your dressing room fractured. But obviously they are a top team and they've got top players, and they'll be going for this today. They'll not be messing about, and I think this will be I know it's a pre-season game. You want everybody to come through and not get injured, but it will be a tough test.
We'll have a little look at some of their new players and some of their existing players in just a minute. But FG has managed to get to speak to Rico Lewis ahead of today's game.
Hello and welcome back to Pitchside. Joleon Lescott, Shaun Wright-Phillips and myself, FG, are joined by the man of the moment, Rico Lewis. Rico, how's the age of tour been for you so far?
I think the boys would agree with me. It's been really good. I think the fans have been amazing, in the open sessions. And, it's been good also for a few days to go around the city and look at such an amazing town. So, yeah, it's been amazing.
What are you looking to get out of the second game in terms of wise for yourself?
I think for me, just getting back into the rhythm of stuff, from where I left off last season was a great point, but it's never really enough in football. You have to keep on going. So for me, just getting back into the rhythm and trying things that I might not have tried maybe in last season, and trying to propel my game just a bit further.
Rico, have you been surprised by how many blue shirts you've seen throughout Japan and especially today's game?
Yeah, it's amazing, really. You don't really think when you're in England, when you're in Manchester, how many people are really watching you, and just walking around the streets, you see how many City fans there are, and it's a bit of an eye opener to how big the club is now.
Fair play. And it's great to have you a part of it. All the best tonight, mate. Thanks for joining us on Matchday Live.
Cheers, thank you.
Rico Lewis chatting to the guys out in Tokyo ahead of today's game. Under half an hour today. Get the game on City Plus and on Recast. We'll go back over to Tokyo very shortly and get their thoughts on the Bayern Munich team for today. Just one of their new players starts today. That's Konrad Laimer, a name that you'll probably recognise. He played for RB Leipzig in our 7-0 victory over them that we had, of course, in the Champions League earlier this season. He's come from RB Leipzig. He plays in midfield. Has previously played with some of the other Bayern Munich players, so I'm sure he'll be making the switch pretty easily there. Versatile midfielder, but of course we know him from that 7-0 defeat, Paul. A decent signing for them?
Yeah, he is. As much as the 7-0, I won't have good memories, but the game in Leipzig, he was really impressive that day. And as you said, he knows a lot of the Bayern Munich players as well. But Bayern Munich don't sign bad players. No. They look to sign quality players and bring them on to another level. And I'm sure that's what they're looking for with him.
We're not getting to see Kim today, the defender that they signed from Napoli. Tuchel said in his press conference that he wasn't quite fit enough yet. But in terms of him, he's 26 years old, part of the Napoli squad, of course, that won Serie A last year. He was also named the best defender in Serie A last year, or his debut campaign. Incredible defender. He was linked with everybody. So they're making some good moves in the transfer window, Shaun.
Yes, and as Paul said, they're going to sign quality players, and clearly Thomas Tuchel feels he's a player that'll come in when I look at the Bayern Munich team, their attack and their midfield has such quality. You think, well, the only area they can probably improve is probably defensively, and this is why they're looking to add someone like him that'll bring some quality. But yeah, they're going to get top players, and I think he's just going to be another one that will add to their quality.
So FG, Shaun Wright-Phillips and Joleon Lescott. By the way, Joleon Lescott in a lovely outfit today. We're all a little bit disappointed, actually. We were very much looking forward to seeing what Joleon was going to be wearing today. We were expecting it to be very bright and patterned, but he's just gone for a lovely T-shirt. You've disappointed us, Joleon. We're going to go back over to them now to find out their thoughts on the Bayern Munich team.
We will have no Joleon Lescott slander. He is looking as drippy as ever. Let's talk about the Bayern Munich team then, shall we, lads? Let's go with Serge Gnabry first, Joleon. I understood you spent a bit of time with him at West Brom. What was he like?
He was young, to be fair. And it's a shame I hadn't worked in a loan system to understand what it's like to go on loan, because he kind of received a little bit of criticism for his performances. But then when you realise, like, we were signing a young player, not an Arsenal player, but the quality was there. When we used to do set pieces, which we did a lot of under Tony Pulis, he could take free kicks, corners, anything with both feet. So very technically gifted at a young age, but was just making his way in the game.
Making his way in the game he was. And how much has he developed, Shaun, into an out-and-out winger? And he's had some great moments, hasn't he, in his career so far?
I can't remember exact year, but there was a year in the Champions League where he pretty much single-handedly destroyed every team that he came up against, and I think that was him saying, this is me, this is what you missed out on in the English Premier League, because of whether it would be a manager or a coach or the team or the fans never really gave him a chance, like John said, or believed in him. So he went somewhere else and put himself on the map.
Let's talk about a man I know you're a huge fan of, Joleon, and that's Musiala. 12 goals, 10 assists at the age of 20. Are there enough words to describe what a talent this man is?
Yeah, at this moment, obviously, he's still kind of getting better, but what the standard he's set himself, he's on course to have a ridiculous career. So exciting. I think if you look at the World Cup, disappointing from a Germany point of view, but he was a standout performer. Took the responsibility to try and win games on his own, but in terms of his quality, seen a lot of him in the Champions League last season, and exceptional talent, exceptional.
He's got a level of maturity, hasn't he, Shaun? And as a young player playing in a side, it's like he's been there for years.
I think Joleon hit the nail on when he says exceptional. I think a lot of players and some players, even maybe today and in my time, they came up against certain names or certain stars. I wouldn't say they would shy away, but they would think more about it. Whereas I think with him, the bigger the star you are, it feels like the more he wants to get past you, or the more he wants to embarrass you, and the more he wants to leave his mark to say it's not going to be easy on you. So his confidence is through the roof, and it doesn't look like he's going anywhere.
Yeah, this will look like this will be a tough test for Rico Lewis, especially. It looks like he's going to play midfield. So against someone of a similar age, obviously more experience, so it'll be an interesting game that for them.
It's a matchup definitely to look out. Really quickly before we head back, let's touch on it. Of course, we have to mention him. It's Leroy Sané. He was so good in a sky blue shirt, young player of the year. He lit up the Premier League, and he was a joy to watch. How much has his game improved since coming to Bayern?
Yeah, I wouldn't say improved. I said he's continued to be great. Like what he did at Man City was exceptional. I'm sure he probably realised that was some of his best years as well. And I know this team have gone on to win the treble and stuff, but that team with him on the wing and Raheem on the other wing, that was one of my favourite City moments. Seeing them two, definitely a FIFA pick as well.
Yeah, we absolutely love Leroy, don't we, Sean? Absolutely brilliant. But I mean, looking at how much he's improved and stuff, and as a winger, Shaun, playing against him, he's the type of winger that you want to be, running at people and just direct.
But that is a winger of, say, the time in a way before Pep, and before that was what wingers were there to do. Play on the counter-attack, commit defenders, get crosses in, try and score goals. That is the old school mentality of a winger. I miss that in the Premier League, to be honest with you. I miss seeing wingers go and drive at people. But I do understand football's kind of changed to where people want to control the game and not make it so open kind of a game. So for me, he's a fantastic player, and I miss watching him play in the UK.
Well, we're going to get a chance to watch him today, but for now, we are going to head back to Natalie in the studio.
Thanks so much to FG. There you can see Erling Haaland just taking it all in. Of course, he got 2 goals in our first pre-season friendly against Yokohama in just the 45 minutes that he played. 2 goals already. Of course, the Premier League Player of the Year, PFA Player of the Year, City Player of the Year, treble winner, every trophy under the sun that you can imagine he got in his first season. So very much looking forward to seeing what he can achieve in his second season now. Now, you've got about 20 minutes until our pre-season friendly today against Bayern Munich. But also currently happening, of course, is the FIFA Women's World Cup. It's taking place in Australia and in New Zealand. Quite a few of our City players are out there. Going to give you a little quick rundown to keep you in touch with what's going on. So Norway currently quite a shock, sitting bottom of their group. Julie Blackstad has been playing for them, but they've got beaten their opening game against New Zealand, and then they drew their second game against Switzerland, so there's a good chance that Norway will be going out. For Australia, of course, Alana Kennedy and Mary Fowler. They are currently sitting top of Group B, looking good, solid team to be going through there. Yui Hasegawa, as of course you would imagine, is absolutely starring for Japan. Try and take a look at some of the Japan performances, by the way, they're absolutely sensational. For England, you'll get their next game on Friday. Ellie, Roebuck, Alex Greenwood, Lauren Hemp, Chloe Kelly, Laura Coombs and Esme Morgan all out there representing the Blues. For Netherlands, you've got Kirsten Kasperai and Jill Ruud there. And in Group E, they're sitting second behind the USA. But of course, the USA are the favourites for the whole thing. Sweden, Felipe Angedal is there. They're sitting joint first with Italy in their group, yet to play their second game though, of course. And then you've got Bunny Shaw out there for Jamaica. Incredible opening performance for Jamaica, but of course Bunny Shaw got sent off in that game. She will miss the next game, but she will be back for their third group game. I think everybody's got everything crossed there for Jamaica. Who's been impressing you so far? Have you seen many of the games, Sean?
Yeah, I've seen a couple of games. Always looking out for our girls and seeing how they're doing. Interesting though, watching the England game, playing against Haiti, I, like most, was thinking, okay, this will be maybe 3 or 4 goals. And I caught myself looking at the Haiti girls, because again, just trying to familiarise myself with a lot of the players. And I actually spoke with Gareth and said, the number 6 for Haiti looks good. He went, she's just going to Lyon.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been really good though. Watching Bunny Shaw the other day. She got, as you said, she got sent off. But Jamaica, I'm also intrigued because they're from the same region as Bermuda, and I was really impressed with them. I hadn't seen them up to that point, but Bunny would be disappointed she got sent off. But I thought they were also impressive in terms of how they played in a very difficult game. Italy played Argentina. Italy were really good. Argentina, they remind me of the Argentinian players that we had, in terms of the pressing and the energy levels. But Italy were a slightly better team. But yeah, I've been enjoying it, certainly.
Yeah, the next England game is Friday. Of course, we'll keep updating you on Matchday Live about how all of our Blues are doing out there in Australia and in New Zealand. And of course, best of luck to every single one of them. We hope every one of them shines, as we know that they will as well. So you've got about just under 20 minutes now to get yourselves onto City Plus and Recast to make sure you can watch today's game. Thank you for sending in your WhatsApp questions as well. I'll try and get through a couple of those quickly now because there is quite a few of them. First of all, I want to say a big happy birthday to Harry. He's 8 today. Happy birthday, Harry. Have a wonderful, wonderful 8th birthday. Okay, first question comes from Adam Walton. How do you guys feel about City's window so far? Kovacic is a great signing and there's some exciting rumours, but is there any concern about the speed of which we're getting players through the door?
No, it makes me laugh every summer, and obviously City fans get a little bit nervous thinking who we're going to sign. All fans do. But look, as in recruitment, I think we're up there with the very best over the last few summers, and Cheeky is the best at what he does. Omar Barada behind the scenes, they will know what's going on. Maybe there's some rumours out there. Fans might think there's not a lot happening, but there'll be a hell of a lot happening behind the scenes because City identify players maybe 2-3 years before they're actually going to sign them. They're that far ahead of everybody in the recruitment, and it's not just about signing the biggest and best players. Look at Akanji, look at Julian Alvarez, look at the fees they paid. So they get the right players at the right price now, and I can't think of any bad signing that they've made over the last few years, really. So, in Cheeky we trust.
In Cheeky we trust. I like that.
I think the scary thing is, Man City signed top players, and you think, well, did the kind of finished article? The vast majority of them, you think, well, the finished article, and it's clear when they're working under Pep, they become actually even better, and that's the scary thing. When you've got a player that's a very good player, and then he comes to somewhere like Man City and works under Pep Guardiola and his staff, and they just go to another level. I mean, that's how scary it is. So, you know, teams look. I mean, players. For me, players would look and think, obviously it's an honour to be asked by Manchester City to sign for them. But you know, when you go into Manchester City, not only are you coming to an amazing club and playing with fantastic players, you know you're actually going to get a hell of a lot better as a player.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we'd all agree with that. Some of the players, they just seem to, even progress even further under Pep. I love that. Thank you for the question there, Adam. So we have the next question here from Bill. Love this one, Bill. He says, I'm from Longsight, and he'd like to ask Paul and Shaun, how many goals would you score in this City team if you were to play either side of Haaland? And then he put, in your prime, of course. I don't know what you mean, Bill. I don't know what you mean. How many goals would you get?
I wouldn't get nowhere near this City team. For a start, look, you've just got to look at the quality. Obviously, Kevin De Bruyne, Jack Grealish, Phil Foden, Bernardo Silva, Kovacic. Now, you know the one thing you're guaranteed is you're going to be a centre forward in the City team is you're going to get chances.
Oh, Paul. No, we're not having that answer. How many goals would you get, Shaun?
It's getting all humble.
Yeah.
As long as Haaland does my running, I'm scoring bags of goals.
Hey, I've been there.
That's what you used to do.
So you were the Haaland in this combination then?
No, I was the runner. He was the Haaland.
Bags full of goals, Shaun. That's what we wanted to hear. Thank you for your question, Bill. Another question from Andrew Paul, who says, hi, Natalie. Hi, Andrew. If you have a choice of a 4th Premier League or a 2nd UEFA Champions League next season, what would you take?
Champions League.
4th Premier League.
Me too.
Because it's never been done before.
It's never been done. Yes. 4th Premier League. Yes. Why are you saying both saying Champions League?
It's like waiting on your old bus, isn't it? And then two come along. I would love that. I think we've waited a while for it, and we've so enjoyed the fact that we've achieved it, and to be able to do it back to back, for me, would be amazing. I do get your point.
I get your point of view 100%, because obviously they've matched what they've done across the road. But for me, Champions League, because it's the toughest competition in the world.
I know, but if we don't win the Premier League, then it means somebody else does, and I don't like anybody else.
No, I agree with you. I just think these players want to break records all the time. You know, they've just done the treble.
Why don't we go for both?
Yeah.
Go on then.
It wouldn't surprise me if we did.
Yeah, why did you not give us an option of that, by the way, sir, in your question?
Both.
Can we just choose both? Is that being greedy?
This ties a little bit into the last question about signings as well. I look at the squad now with obviously just the one new signing coming in, and it is sensational. And it wouldn't surprise me if this squad, even with no additions, went on and did the 4 in a row and got back-to-back Champions League, because they're that good. It's scary. You look at the starting 11 today, then you look at the bench, it's like, wow. So if you think there's going to be 2 or 3 additions in there as well, quality additions, there's no reason why they can't go and do it again.
Yes. So you're getting excited for the new season, aren't you? OK, last question just for now, but do keep them coming in. Now we'll try and get through some more. Ali has asked, what's your favourite thing about Jack Grealish? Love that question. Favourite thing about Jack Grealish?
His personality. He's himself. I love it. Off the field, it's himself. On the field, we're seeing his personality, and this is why we're seeing him perform at the levels. So it's personality for me.
I would narrow it down and say his post-match interviews. Love, because his personality comes out in them. Steve?
I think it is. I think it's his it is his personality, but just his cheekiness, just the fact that he likes to be in and around absolutely everything. You just see the lad that he is. Because I think initially when he first came, he I wouldn't say he struggled, but it was difficult to adapt. Obviously, all the information that he's getting off Pep, now he's getting all that in. He's like a sponge now. He's soaking that in. Now he can enjoy himself, but now he's being himself. And we just got to see everything that we see. I mean, he's always involved in everything. We're seeing the Haaland thing with the cake, and he's in the middle of everything. He's somebody that when you have in the dressing room, the lads absolutely love him.
Paul, is yours his calves?
His calves, his celebrations.
His hair?
As in the after the party celebrations. No, I just love him as a person. I think the City fans obviously love him as well, but I think they can relate to him.
Yes.
You know, there's no edge about him at all. And on the pitch, he's been absolutely fantastic.
Very much, yeah.
I say to everybody that he was our best player after the World Cup towards the end of the season consistently.
Absolutely. I think all fans love him because of that. Exactly right. We've got less than 10 minutes now until kick-off, so we're going to head back over to Tokyo to get the final thoughts from FG, SWP and JLP.
Yes, welcome back to the National Stadium on our final game here in Tokyo, ready to go to Seoul next. Let's just talk about the the trip as a whole, Joleon? It's been brilliant here in Tokyo, hasn't it?
Oh, amazing. Again, I wasn't sure what to anticipate or what to expect, and the one thing that has surprised me is the weather. Today, I think it was 40 degrees, and it wasn't like a normal 40 degrees that we associate with, not in England, but like, say, in Europe. Different heat, but the people are so welcoming, so clean. The food's been amazing, so all around a great experience.
And Shaun, a bit more about you. So you look at, we enjoyed the heat today.
I always enjoy the heat. I lived in the desert, didn't I? So this is perfect for me. But to be honest, it's been a fantastic trip. I came 6 months ago, 7 months ago, and you could see the City fans and the group building. But I've come back again 6 months later. It might be obviously because we won the treble, but if people could see the stadium now, there must be about 3,000 to 4,000 Bayern Munich fans, and then the rest are just all City fans. So that shows you how well they've accepted City into their hearts.
The club is definitely growing in this part of the world, and also one thing that's growing is the work you guys have been doing with City in the community out here. It's a project that obviously everybody watching at home knows that we do a lot in Manchester, but there's a lot more to it than just Manchester, and you guys have done some great things, haven't you, Joleon?
Yeah, working in the community, wherever you are in the world, is always a satisfying part of the job. We've all been kids and kind of been in an age where you want to meet professional footballers or aspire to be a professional footballer, so to kind of contribute to anyone's dreams in any aspect is a great opportunity.
We've got some lovely images and lovely smiles on some faces. Before we head back, I think we're getting a little bit dark in here, so we are going to hand back, but let's get a quick score prediction. I think we've got a light show on the way.
I think this game is going to be a little bit different, of course, but I still actually think City will win.
I'm going to say 2-2.
Okay, well, they're the predictions, and thanks for joining us, Pitchside. We will head back to the studio now. See you guys soon.
Thanks so much, FG. Yes, the fans out in Tokyo are absolutely incredible. The stadium is packed full of blue shirts, as you can see. You're under 10 minutes now away from today's 11:30 kickoff against Bayern Munich. You can watch the game live on City Plus and on Recast with commentary from Alistair Mann and our former captain, Andy Morrison. Joleon's going for a draw there, Paul. Shaun managed to dodge the giving of a prediction. I'm not going to let you three do that. What's your score prediction?
I don't know, but I don't know if it was a camera angle or not, but I think Shaun Wright-Phillips has been enjoying the food a little bit too much out there.
Harsh, very harsh.
Fair.
But true.
Yeah. I'll go 3-1 Manchester City.
Okay, I like it. Shaun, go to.
Yeah, I'm in my head, I'm sort of thinking, I think this would be a tough one. And I'm listening to Joleon say 2-0, but I'm actually going to go 2-1 City.
Thank you very much, Shaun.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-1 as well. I was going to pick 2-1 before he said it, but I think for me, really, I think the important thing, and the manager as well, it's a case of this is going to be a tough test, so the sharpness has to be better, the fitness has to be better. As long as everybody comes through, it's a good workout, and everybody comes through uninjured. For me, that's the best result.
Absolutely, thank you so much. The team are wearing today the new third kit that has just been released, and they look absolutely fantastic in it. Thank you so much for joining us on Matchday Live today. We'll be back at half-time and at full-time to analyse all of the goals, all of the action, and we'll be showing you the goals at half-time and full-time as well. But to watch the game, City Plus and Recast, get yourself sorted on there. You'll get your commentary with Alistair Mann and with Andy Morrison. Thank you so much for joining us today and for sending in your WhatsApp questions. As you can see, the teams are in the tunnel. There is Erling, Haaland. Look at that. Their shirts just look absolutely fantastic. Enjoy the game. It's our second pre-season friendly now, and we're very much looking forward to seeing how they get on against Bayern Munich. Enjoy the game, Blues. We'll see you at half-time.
Well, this is more like it, isn't it? After waiting 43 days for a City match when they took on Yokohama on Sunday, the Blues are back in action just 3 days afterwards. And having beaten the Japanese champions in what was an entertaining duel at the weekend, it is now the time for the best team in Germany, and familiar foes they are too, in Bayern Munich.